Hey, greetings Fright fans, Dr. Gangrene here. So glad you all joined me tonight for what was going to be another episode of Movie Night. Actually, I shot an episode of my ongoing newly founded series Movie Night a couple nights ago that I was going to show. I have it almost ready, but since it's Thanksgiving, I decided, you know what? I'm going to shoot one of these especially for Thanksgiving. So I went through my collection here, started thinking about what kind of Thanksgiving turkey could I serve up for you guys? Because everybody knows Thanksgiving, you have to serve up a little bit of turkey. So I found the perfect thing, and this movie was one that I picked up back in October. I had never seen this before. It's called The Vulture from 1966. It's an independent horror movie. I hosted the Spooky Ghoul Fest 2 in Nashville, Tennessee. A local record shop called The Groove asked me if I would host their event. Halloween costume party. It was a rock and roll event. We had bands. Well, first off, during the daytime, we had costume party for kids. We had a costume contest for kids, a costume contest for pets. And then at night, we had a whole bunch of bands. Had like 5 different bands that played all night long. Great event. It was the night before Halloween. I hosted the event. Dr. Gangrene did. It was a lot of fun. Had a great time. They had vendors there also, and one of the vendors was a VHS seller. And he had a bunch of tapes for sale there, and I saw this one, The Vulture, for sale. And that's one that I had never even heard of, never seen, never heard of it. And I thought, you know, anytime I see something on cassette or VHS that I've not heard of before, I try to pick it up. So I snagged this, brought it home and watched it, and was just kind of blown away with the entire thing. Let me tell you guys about it so you can be as equally amazed at the sheer audacity of this movie. This film starts out with a woman cutting through a graveyard, taking a shortcut through a graveyard, which we all know is a great idea, right? And she stumbles upon an empty grave, a grave that actually opens up in front of her eyes, and a giant bird, vulture with the head of a human, flies out of it. Of course, we don't see any of this. We're just told about it. But anyway, she sees something that terrifies her, and it turns out that it was this grave that opened up in front of her, and a giant vulture with a man's head flies out of it. A giant vulture with a human head. Okay, I'm in right there. Count me, I'm on board. Count me in right there. Of course, nobody believes her, would you? But her hair turns white overnight. So we get a scientist who's coming into England to visit the relatives of his wife. His wife's British, and he's coming to visit on vacation. And of course, he is intrigued because he learns that that grave belongs to a man, is the grave of a man who was killed for being a suspected witch back in the 1700s. He was buried along with his pet vulture, and all the bones have disappeared. And there's a legend that he would come back and get revenge on the family that killed him. It turns out this is being accomplished through one of that witch's descendants, who is a mad scientist. That's right, this is a mad scientist movie. I wish I'd had this back in October when I did my Mad Science Countdown. This would have fit perfectly into that countdown. This scientist uses nuclear transmutation to put his head on a vulture's body and attack and kill the descendants of the family that killed his ancestor. I mean, it's just a wacky plot. And honestly, as you go through this thing, it starts making less and less sense as you go along. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's just the ride is fun. And, you know, if I were to rate this thing, I'd probably give it 2 skulls. But that sounds harsh, 2 out of 5. It's a lovable 2 skulls, though. Yeah, maybe it is not the best movie in the world, but it's got some things going for it. It's got some cool, moody music. It's got some atmospheric scenes. It's got some great actors in it. The scientist is played by Robert Hutton, who's been in a bunch of B movies like The Slime People and Invisible Invaders, all kinds of good stuff. His wife is played by Diane Clare, who you guys will probably best remember from Plague of the Zombies. She was also in The Haunting and Witchcraft with Lon Chaney Jr., but I think Plague of the Zombies is probably her biggest role as far as horror movies go. Broderick Crawford plays her father. Of course, Broderick was in about a million film noir movies back in the day. And Akeem Tamaroff shows up in this one as a professor that lives in the area that has all kinds of knowledge on the history and historical facts about the place and the nearby area, and something seems just a little bit off about him. It was directed by Lawrence Huntington, who's done a ton of stuff, although not a lot of horror stuff. His biggest claim to fame is probably that he wrote the screenplay for The Oblong Box, the Gordon Hessler, Vincent Price movie. But overall, you know, like I said, maybe 2 skulls for this one, but it's a lovable 2 skulls. So have to couch it that way. It is indeed a Thanksgiving turkey and suitable watching for Thanksgiving evening, which is why I'm posting this today, and I'll put a link to where you guys can watch it. It's not out on Blu-ray or DVD or anything. It's just the VHS right now. I had not heard of it and definitely had not seen it, and I'm glad to have done so. Like I said, it would have been a perfect entry in the Mad Science countdown that I did back in October. But Turkey Day is a perfect time for the Vulture. So we're serving up some Vulture tonight, Fright fans, and I hope you all enjoy it. Let me know, have you guys seen this one? And if you take the time to watch it, let me know what you think afterwards. Like I said, there's some good stuff going on in it. It just makes 0 sense, the plot, and it's pretty goofy. And you don't really get to see the monster hardly at all until the very end of the movie, and then it's very fleeting. But still, the Vulture. Giant vulture with a human head, count me in. All right, that's it for this week, Fright fans. Hope you all get a chance to check out the Vulture. Let me know what you think. And until next time, Dr. Gangrene from the lab saying, stay mad.